Hi everybody, this is Miranda Kleins and this is my signature presentation. Now, before we get started, I just want to give some quick housekeeping updates. So as all of you know who have watched my presentations in the past, I have lots of animals that live in my house, so you may hear a cat meow, a dog bark, who knows, it's a zoo. The last thing is that my husband is sharing the office with me tonight, and he is in the middle of a Clash tournament, which is something for League of Legends. Anyway, so you may hear him pounding away on the keyboard behind me. Anyways, well, let's get going, okay? So for this assignment, we were asked to choose a standard that we thought we could demonstrate proficiency in. And I thought, based on everything we've talked about in class, that Standard 4 really talks about and embodies what we've learned. It's all about developmentally, culturally, and linguistically appropriate teaching practices. Now, for Standard 4, there are three subsets. The first being that we as educators need to understand that our role and our relationship with kiddos, that's really the foundation. That's everything. Without that, we're not going to be successful. The second subset, Standard B, talks about how we as educators need to use our skills to be responsive to the needs of our kiddos and to recognize that everybody's going to have a unique experience and unique situations that they're bringing to the table that come along with them into the classroom, and we need to be cognizant of that and how to deal with it. And the final one is making sure that we're incorporating a wide variety of developmentally appropriate and culturally relevant items into our classroom, as well as modifying our teaching to make sure that we're being inclusive, not exclusive, okay? So basically summed up, Standard 4 is all about teachers needing to understand that every kiddo is different and that we need to be able to meet all of those unique needs based on our knowledge and our skills. Right? All the different colors of the rainbow. See what I did there? Okay, so let's jump right into the artifacts. So for artifact number 1, I chose my signature essay. As you can see, there's no picture of it here because it's an essay. So let's talk about why I chose my signature essay as my first artifact. Well, first of all, I demonstrated competency for standard number 4 because I discussed how resiliency is fostered by the development of our relationships, and not just relationships between teacher and student, but between parent, kiddo and peers, all of those supports and how they bolster a child's ability to weather adversity, how those parents and teachers kind of act as a buffer for them. Anyways, long story short, I feel like I demonstrated that in my essay, or demonstrated that knowledge. For standard number 2, or that second subset, I feel like my essay really demonstrated that I have a deep understanding of how trauma affects kiddos differently, and basically the requirement of teachers to understand that and not just walk into a classroom blind. So I feel like I demonstrated that within my essay as well. Finally, I explained the importance of teachers leading by example to create a safe and inclusive environment. That to me is very important because I live in let's be real, folks, a very red state that is not super friendly to immigrants or people who are different than us. So I felt like as an educator, my job, as an administrator in an educational setting, it's my job to lead by example, to hire staff that are going to be able to fulfill that mission of inclusivity. And hopefully we can pass it on to our parents and to the families and to the kids to show, hey, this is how we act, this is how we behave, and we're not going to be tolerant of intolerance, right, folks? Right. All right, so for my artifact number 2, I kind of cheated. I threw 3 artifacts on one slide. I didn't feel like writing a whole slide about each of these. But for those of you who are members of NACE, you'll have seen that in this previous issue of The Young Child, there was an entire section. Well, first of all, the whole journal this time was all about literacy, so it was a really cool read. I recommend it. Also, shamelessly plugging for NACE here, if you all don't have a membership, it really is worth it. I would recommend it highly, and it's not that expensive, so go check it out. But anyways, so also in that issue of Young Child, they talked about the importance of having literature, child-friendly literature that's both intentionally representative, so it's showing real stories of kids that look like, it's depicting children that look like them, like our students. It's not whitewashing or anything like that. It's really it's good for kids to see that they have a place in stories as well. So, anyways, I picked 3 different books that were listed as potentials to bring into your classroom, and I felt like these were really a good sign that I understand the importance of creating a classroom that's inclusive. So the first one is Carmilla Full of Wishes. It's a story about a little girl who finds a dandelion, and as you can see, that's this book right here on the bottom. Anyway, Miss Carmilla here, she finds a dandelion and she walks through the city with her brother. And as she's going through the city, she's thinking about different things that she's hopeful for, things that she wants to happen, things that she's remembered that have happened that are pleasant to her. And some of the things include her mom working a lot, working at, lots of different jobs. Her dad being separated from her family. And then at the very end of the book, her brother takes her to a place where she gets to make a whole bunch of wishes and really start thinking about her future. And so I thought that was an excellent book that talks about relatable stories to kiddos who are immigrants or maybe who aren't yet immigrated, so they're staying in their home country, they're waiting to be reunited with family. Anyway, it was a really cute little book, very easy to read, and the illustrations were just gorgeous. All right, the second book was The Wall in the Middle of the Book. This was super precious, guys. Loved it. And very, very easy to read. So mostly pictures, very little words, which is great for our littles. But this is a very short story that's all about helping people in situations that are not great. So this little guy here, he starts off the book by being like, bro, I like my side of the book because this is a safe side. And on the other side of the wall and on the other side of the book, there's this mean old ogre and he's going to eat me. Well, he gets into a spot of trouble and the ogre helps him out. So it's all about taking down those barriers, helping each other. It's really cute. I liked it. Mama's Nightingale, is a story about a little girl who's separated from her mother. Her mom, herself, and her dad had all immigrated from Haiti to America, and mom was incarcerated during an immigration raid. And so it's all about this little girl's hopes to be reunited with her mom. It talks about some coping mechanisms that she has to feel connected to her parents and to feel connected to her homeland of Haiti. It's really beautiful. The illustrations are gorgeous. I will say this one has a lot of words per page, so maybe for our older readers, but still kind of cool. Anyway, so that's my artifact number 2. Why did I pick these books? We talked about the rationale for the first article or for the first artifact on their slide, but the books, there's a lot going on, so it's got its own slide. So why did I pick these books? Well, first of all, they offer relatable representation and intentional representation, which I feel like is very important for kiddos. Each of these books covered a very different topic and had a wide variety of reading levels. Some were more picture heavy, some were more word heavy. So I felt like that would be really great to incorporate all 3 of these into our classroom because, again, it's showing different cultures, different races. It's showing different languages in the book. Mama's Nightingale incorporates some non-English words, which are really awesome. And it's just a great way to engage not only our children who are immigrants, but to help our kiddos who are not immigrants to be more empathetic and to be more understanding of the situations that their peers or, future peers may have experienced. So anyways, that's why I chose those. All right, guys, let's finish up here. Let's talk about real life application, right? What did I learn in boating school? Well, I learned that I would like to be more inclusive and intentional with the materials I provide in my classroom. So for those of you who don't know or haven't heard, I did accept a new position as a county director for an early interventions program. Yes, I no longer work at the domestic violence shelter where I'm on call 24/7. Sad to see that line of work go, not sad to see the schedule go. But anyways, long story short, in my new classroom, it's a little sparse, guys. We got some working to do. We got a little cleaning up we got to do, but that's something I'm going to take with me from this class, specifically those 3 books. I've got another list that I found that's, really good books on diversity and inclusion, and I'm going to buy all the books that my budget will allow, and I'm going to include that in my classroom. In my new role, I'm going to work on building those relationships. I do have a couple parents who are immigrants, and I'd like to learn more about their situation without, of course, being super nosy, but letting them know I'm here to support you in whatever way your family needs. Because, right, when we look back at those artifacts, that artifact number one, that's one of the biggest things I talk about in my paper is building up those supports, and how important that is to building resiliency. Okay. The last thing then, moving forward into my real life, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, is I'm going to continue to educate my peers, my staff members, and really anybody who will sit still long enough and let me talk about it. Because that was something that I really gained from this class, was a new level of empathy for the experiences of people who are fleeing their home country to come to America. This is not some whimsical, magical journey. It's really arduous, it's time consuming, it's costly, and then when you get here, it's not all sunshines and roses. And I feel like we really need to understand that. So that's what I'm going to do moving forward. Before we leave, I am going to give you guys this quote from Franklin D. Roosevelt. I felt it was really important for us to remember, especially those of us who, who are not first or second or third generation immigrants, because remember always that we are all descendants of immigrants, right? We all came here, maybe not you and I, maybe not you and your parents, but at one point in time, our families were immigrants, and so we should just maybe have a little bit of empathy. Okay? Alrighty, well, here are my sources. For this project, not my essay. There were way too many, didn't want to fill up several slides, so just kept it short, sweet. I also included the source for the media I chose for the essay, because we were supposed to pick a song, poem, movie, or whatever. Well, I chose the song Here Comes the Sun, and, just thought y'all might be interested, so I have that included here. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much, and hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.